I know that you all are doing well, but my concern is how's your studies going on? As this is start of your academic years, you are just in first chapter learning this up. Point is that you have a whole year to study, and you should plan that in a proper way. You should not skip the work, especially the starting, because at this time many students think like that's only a start, first chapter, do it later. From the very first chapter itself, we have to concentrate equally. We have to just do things in a proper way so that later after, during the exam time, we do not feel any problem. So let's not waste the time and let's start learning the second part of the chapter, crop protection and management. So guys, I'm going to share my screen. Let's start. I hope you remember what we have learned in the last part. I will not remind you that, by the way. Okay, I'll do it. I'm not so bad. We discussed about the way the agricultural processes. You have to imagine yourself, you're a farmer, and how we are growing the plant, what sequence of what steps you may say we have to follow to grow it up, to grow the crop and to save it. So how we just move in a proper sequence. And then very first step we discussed ploughing, leveling, giving little manure at that time. What is done after that? Those steps we are going to learn. As you see it on the screen, we are going to cover these things. After we have made our, what do we say? Soil ready to grow the crop, what we have to do? We have to sow the seeds. We have to sow the seeds, or we can just go for the transplantation also. Actually, sowing of seeds and transplantation, they are kind of connected topics. While I'll explain cropping pattern, because these are kind of very important and very useful that we have to follow. Cropping pattern must be followed. Manure and fertilizer, because they are the one that increases the productivity. So these are the steps that we are going to follow. So let's start. This is the next one. So the first point, as I told you, the one that we have to discuss is about the sowing of seeds. Okay, so just be in that role. I have already told you that you have to imagine yourself as a farmer, and then you have to just think about it. First of all, tell me, you are a farmer or you like gardening at home? If you don't, you should. It's a very beautiful thing. It's a mood, it just make the mood better. You feel very positive while you just go in the garden and just do some gardening. Try it. Okay, anyways, so the first step is sowing. Sowing means sowing the seeds. We have a seed, just grow it up at home. Also you can do it. There are tomatoes, mango, apple, uh, guava, capsicum, lot of vegetables and fruits are there at home. You can just take the seed. You can see tutorials on YouTube or any site where you can just see the video and how to grow and sow the seeds. You can just go for that. And now I'm going to tell you, sowing is done. Sowing means this is very important step, because during the time when we are sowing the seeds, we should do it in a proper way, because seed is going to form the plant. So it needs all kind of nutrition. It needs nutrition, it needs soil. Through that, it will be absorbing water and nutrition. It needs sunlight, it needs proper space. It should not be competing with other seeds. So there are many things during that time that we have to follow. So this is the process of putting the seed into the ground, into the soil for future growth of the plant. That's a definition. Now, guys, if a question come in your paper that if you are sowing the seeds, what should be the quality of the seed that should be there? Tell me. Think about it. It should be healthy. It should be it should be showing vigorous growth. And it should be having resistant property. You understand what do you mean by the term resistant properties? Resistant property means it should not easily be harmed or damaged by particular thing. If I talk about resistant itself now, resistant used to be of two types: biotic resistance and abiotic resistance. Biotic resistance means living component they are affecting, and abiotic means non-living. Like into the biotic component, it might have microorganism, or you may say some insect, or you may say even birds or animals that might eat the seed. So, but we have to take care of them against them. Obviously, biotic resistance is done at the genetic level, at the genes. So against birds and animals, we cannot do it. We can just protect it. But internally, we can have resistance against microorganism and insect at the genetic level. We can change the crop at that level. These are done in labs. I have told you this. I'm going to tell you this story also. So how it is done. So point is that these are done in the labs. Seeds are modified at the DNA level in the labs against pathogens. I'm telling you, they manipulate it. That now suppose any XYZ insect is eating upon the plant, eating it. If I manipulate it at the genetic level in the lab, now that same insect will come eat the crop, die. That's what we are doing. So that is what a biotic resistance is. Now I hope you're getting it. Next, I'll give you example, don't worry. Abiotic resistance. Abiotic resistance means against non-living component. You may say water, sunlight, too much water, too much sunlight means too much heat, or you may say humidity. So these are the abiotic factor. Against these modifications are also done in the lab at the genetic level. Clear? Yes, and then they become resistance. They are not easily affected. You may say salty condition also. Normally a plant is getting damaged in too much water, but then we are making, see, plant is obviously going to be damaged in a very good amount and high amount of water, but at least we can do our best so that at least if there is a little more than the limit, it should not be harmed. That's what we can do, and that's what is abiotic resistance. So in the seed quality, you can say that they should be having resistant property, and biotic and abiotic, and you may also say disease resistant. Biotic, that include na, because of the pathogen, disease resistant and pest resistant. So in simple language, we can write that point also. If that's written in your book, that is also the same point. Okay, so now you may say seeds should be matured. There is a step which is known as selection. Selection step is done everywhere. Even if I am growing the seed, even if I'm cutting the crop, even if I am selecting the crop from the selecting the seeds from the crop. Selection. If I am selecting the seeds, that selection should be done from a healthy plant. It should be done from a matured plant, well-formed plant. Clear? Selection. Selection is done at every step, I'm telling you. Even after cutting the crop, you also select. Okay. Next. If you're into the selection point itself, you can say that if you're selecting the seed, you should select it from the high yielding plant, that the yield is good. You can add this point. Plant. So if any other point is striking up your mind, you can just note that down. But these are the quality of seeds that you can consider. In a paper, if that question comes, many students get confused at this point. If a question is asking what are the characteristic of a good crop seed or what are the quality of the seeds, you can just write these points up. Clear? I suppose that's clear to you. Now, guys, we are done with this point. Let's move forward and let's talk about how sowing of seed is done. Okay, so let's talk about methods. So obviously in any of the technique, I have always been telling you that there are always two methods. One is the modern method, one is the traditional method, and then is the modern method. So one, the traditional tool. Into the traditional tool, actually, they were using this wooden thing. It appears to be like a funnel. And then this funnel, it's having 3 pipes in it. And this, the end of the funnel used to be very piercing, very cutting. So a person will be putting up into the soil at the funnel, putting the seeds and then seeds through all the pipe thing. It will be placed at different, it would be time taking. Acha, I'm speaking more, writing less. I should speak and I should write. Okay, so this is like a funnel. So here seeds are just added and it will go in all the directions. So there is proper spacing. Now point is that this traditional one, this is very much time taking and obvious labor is needed, more labor is needed. Otherwise also there are many methods that are there in the traditional. There is a one broadcasting also. I suppose I have added that in the next sheet. I'll show you. But this is specifically I'm explaining with this point. How with the help of animal, you may say, animal or normally by human itself, it used to be used. Fair enough. Acha, one more point. If a question come in your paper that what are the disadvantages of the traditional tool, you can just say that the spacing problem. You are using this, but then you just take it out, take it out. So you're not measuring it. So there can be, I mean that there might not be uniform distribution. So you may say uniform distribution might not be there. Or you may also say that because we are not just, it is not like I am having a funnel and three pipe, I'm just putting three seeds only. I will be using, like a handful of seeds, so there can be clusters of seed at one place. So that is also one disadvantage, one more disadvantage that you can add. Okay. So let's move further. Let's talk about the modern method. Modern is obviously having a machine that we call it as the seed drill. So it is like a chamber. You put all the seeds and through it, it'll be moving up into the funnels. And this is not like properly set up, but through the funnel, it'll be into the ground. Through the funnel into the ground. And this is the one which is cutting the soil, cutting it, piercing it, and just through the funnel moving up. Funnels are also there, but they are metallic, and piercing thing is there, and it is used to be with the help of tractors. So this is used with the help of tractor. There are piercing structure. Seed drill is the best method other than the broadcasting, other than the funnel thing. Okay, so that you can explain into the modern method, that there is a metallic or iron long pipe like structure, funnel like structure. So with the help of plow, we are cutting the soil and then following it. We are just distributing this. That's it. Acha, so if a question come in your paper that what are the advantages, you can just write there is a uniform distribution. Second, because it is covered, so this is protecting the seed from the birds, which was not there. You can write this point earlier also in traditional one. Protecting it against birds. Birds. Okay, ignore my writing. It's just the PPT problem. Anyways, guys, so I'm done on this point. And yeah, obviously it's saving time because it's a tractor. That point you can just write. So with this, we are done with the seed drill point. We are done with the traditional and the modern method. I'm going to tell you basic method. See, this nursery point is also written there. I'll explain this. I'll come to this later. Let me show you this diagram. So basically, sowing seeds. Guys, I don't know whether if you have seen farmers or the people sowing seeds into the field, you should go for it. You can watch videos. Either they are growing seeds directly or they are using small plant. We call it as plantlets. We call it as saplings. They grow saplings also. Like I give you simple example. You people purchase small plants from the nursery. You take it to the, if you like gardening, you take it home and then you grow it in the flower pot or the pot, whatever you have. Same thing is done here. We take sapling for the crop and we grow it in the field. Now this thing also I'll explain you, but let me explain this. Broadcasting. That is, broadcasting is actually a traditional method. As I was telling that their sowing is done by traditional and modern methods. So broadcasting is typically a traditional method that include by hand. I have explained you traditional way using funnel earlier, but by hand also, obviously you can just write this is not good. By hand, too much time taking, too much manual. Those seed you can put at a particular distance and taking care of it, but imagine how much time it is going to take. Not worth it. You need manpower to do. Then seed drill, this is the latest one. So by hand today also this is done. This is latest and old as well, but this is not worth it. Too much time taking. So that is traditional and that is seed drill. I have done this earlier, and now you have done this again. Talking about the sapling, this is also included into the sowing point. That is done by transplanting. Same point. So here I mentioned that nursery act as a repository of the sapling. You go into the nursery and you take the crop and then you grow it. Into the nursery, they grow it by germination of the seed. They grow the seed because it needs a special care. That's why it's in the nursery that is grown. And After special care, they are directly transferred into the field. And this process is known as transplantation. Is that clear now? I suppose you're understanding the transplantation now. So basically, first seeds are grown in the small place into the, they are like the tiny plant, and then they are picked out for further growth. Proper take care of them is done. Fair enough. And yeah, this thing is done not the transplantation thing is not done by the machine. This is done by hands. Seedlings, they are grown in the rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like the rice. If you have seen, they need a lot of water, and inside the water they are growing it at a proper distance. I'll show you this picture of it. I'll stop the screen share. I'll just search it and just show you the picture. Okay, so this is all about the transplantation. Now if a question come in your paper, let me see if I have added it or not. Precaution that should be. Now I'll explain it. So if a question come in your paper where you have to talk about what are the advantages of the transplantation. Advantages of transplantation, what you will be saying, it help us to select the best plant while we are selecting the sapling. Second, because we are having plantlet, we can just put it into the soil, like better penetration, better, we can put it better and deeper into the soil. And then it'll be having proper nutrient, proper sunlight and everything. Okay, so by doing this, shoot growth of the plant happen in a better way. Shoot growth means the root formation and the shoot as well. Root and shoot, yeah. Okay. Root and shoot both you can say, but shoot growth happen in a better way because this is already root which is well developed. It will start just having so much of the nutrient. Shoot growth is going to be very well because of this. And then you can say it allows a seedling to be transplanted at the right spacing because we are doing it manually. So obviously we can just put right spacing. So these are the points you can explain. I suppose now again that is clear to you. And now if you have any doubt, you can put it on the discussion board in your account and ask expert on the Ask IITian website. But many students have this question about the transplantation, where to write. So point is that you have to just write it into the sowing point, and that is done with the help of saplings. Into the rice plant, that is done. Yeah, so that's what now leaf stage seedling in the nursery ready for transplant. Then seedling of the transplant is a single seedling in the field. Crop grown. Yeah, I thought I'm gonna show you the picture, but picture is here. Time saved. Clear? Chalo. So now let's proceed further and let's talk about the very important question that I think can come in your paper. Precaution that should be, if I talk about this chapter now guys, at least 2 to 3 questions you can have. At least 2 to 3 questions in the form of some MCQ or in the form of as a subjective question you can expect. Okay. So precaution that should be there. This is a very important question. Should be taken while sowing the seeds. While sowing the seed, it is essential to make sure. Okay. I'm going to speak it. I don't have points too. I thought I have written points. So first of all, there should be right interval. Guys, these kind of questions, if you have in your paper now, point is that you should make headings, and while the time you make heading and then you give explanation, it become very the answer looks very pretty and it seems like you have put a lot of information while you make headings. Fine. So right interval here, what explanation you will give, that if the seeds are at right interval, there will be least competition. If the seeds are clustered and present together, they will be competing for space, for nutrient, for water, for sunlight, for everything. But when it is at a proper distance, then there will be least competition and the growth will be more because of this. Okay. So it will increase the yield because of it. Next point. Seed should be there at the right depth. Because I have explained you it earlier itself, because we are ploughing the crop, we are ploughing this soil. By cutting the soil, we are properly cutting it. So there are air spaces present in between them. From the air spaces, roots are absorbing water and air, oxygen, because roots also take oxygen. Are you getting my point? So that's the reason that they should be at the right depth. If they are too much inside, they will not be able to just get the air. It's not only soil they need air, they need water vapors, they need all the nutrient, they need sunlight. So that's the reason that they should be at the, because then if they are not at the right depth, germination might not happen. So germination is affected because of it. And one more point, they should not also be at the surface, because then obviously it will be eaten up by the birds and not too much. So they should be at a particular depth. That's it. Now, the next point. The seed selection should be done. It should be healthy. It should be resistant to blah, blah, blah. All the points I've explained you. So selection should be done in a proper way. These are the points. Selection point itself, I have written as a word, but I have explained you all the characteristic, biotic resistant, abiotic resistance. You can just explain so much into it. You can just make a 5 marks question out of the points that I've explained to you. Fair enough? I suppose you're getting it now. So guys, one more point I added up there regarding precautions that should be taken while sowing. Though I have explained you this point earlier, but there are a few questions that is written. Why it is better to sow seeds uniformly? I have explained you, if they are not uniform, there will be no right spacing, there will be competition, so germination might not happen and healthy growth of the plant might not be there, crossing it. That's why there should be uniform distribution then, because competition will be less. Now competition for what? Competition for space, for sunlight, for nutrient, for water, for air, for everything. Clear? Okay. So next is, why are plant kept in small bags in nursery? Now guys, I know that you love gardening. You go to the nursery place, you buy a plant, they used to give it in a bags. Reason being, root is embedded into the soil. So they have cut all the area where root is embedded and then they cover it. Now, into the soil, we cover it up so that it doesn't get dry. So it, you may say, prevents, it prevents, you may say, humidity. Humidity word भी नहीं लिखना चाहिए ना. Sorry, I should not write the word humidity. It prevent water loss. That should be a proper word to use. Cut the humidity. So it prevent water loss from the soil. That's the reason that we cover it up properly and all the nutrients just remain inside. Yeah, I think that's the only point. Protecting it, protecting also, protecting from any animal attack or something. Second this one. Clear? So I suppose I have told you many answers to many questions today. If that come in your paper, you are enough intelligent to write it. Let's move further. Okay. Manure and fertilizer is the point, like whenever that point come, every student is 100% confident. That's a point I can write. Okay, I say you are right, you can write it. And that's what we are going to discuss. So you may consider we are just revising it. Manure and fertilizer. These are nutrients for the plant. I don't know whether at your home you are doing composting work, you are making some manure from the kitchen waste, from the organic waste or not. But I have met many students of mine that their parents are doing this thing. That's a commendable job. You should also go for it. All the organic waste should be utilized. You know, I live in a society. Once I met some lady in my society. She is actually a scientist. And she was telling me that I am making some compost at home. How she was making? She was telling, I'm taking a container and into the container, we call it as thal in Hindi. So into the container, she has made a lot of pores, holes. And into the container, then she put all the organic waste, all the kitchen waste, she put it into the container. So that container is put on the bucket and then the container. And then into the container, there are holes. And then into that container, she put all the waste. Now, into the waste, she was telling that I am mixing yeast and bacteria that I take it from my lab. I just put it up there. So all the reaction will happen inside. She keep a little water and these things, and then she cover it up. And then all decomposition will happen inside, and through the pores, the waste, you may say, manure thing that's coming out of the pore in the form of water, because she's adding some water itself. But in that after all reaction in the bucket, all the thing will be collected in the form of liquid. So she was telling it's like a medicine for the plant. I give it to the plant and I have a beautiful garden in my balcony. So I saw it's really very beautiful. So it was just a technique we all can just find and search about it on the internet. You'll be able to find. Talking, coming back to the manure part. Ha! Hold on. Do I have manure? Manure. Manure. Fertilizer heading. I'm just checking all the headings. I'll accordingly write it on the screen. I need to just select the space. First, I'm going to talk about the manure. Manure. This is a natural fertilizer. Fertilizer doesn't mean it's in the lab. Fertilizer means which is providing nutrients. So if I'm saying natural fertilizer, that means it's a manure. If I'm saying fertilizer, that's in the lab. Okay. So it is prepared by the process of decomposition, as I have explained to you. So into the manure, large quantity of organic material that is good for the plant is present, right? Into the soil, it is prepared with the help of decomposition, and that makes the humus. Now, into the soil, it is not only making the humus, but it is adding the nutrient quality of the soil. It also quality of the soil. Yeah, it also fulfill the requirement of minerals into the soil. It improves texture of the soil. So it's improving the texture, and because of that, because of it, water retention capability of the soil is also increased. I suppose that's clear. Retention retention of the soil is increased. So yeah, these points you can say that this is how manure is created. And into the decomposition, now you can make explanation about how decomposition is done. Decomposition can be done with the help of kitchen waste, or you may say the excreta of human and animals, all. Excreta, sorry. There's some problem just with writing, but understand me, this is the kitchen waste and all the organic waste and the excreta also that. Now then, talking about how, see, if you are writing these kind of question, you have to write it in the heading. Definition, then you write how it is created, then you write function, then you write how it is advantages. That's how you can make a point about it. So I was telling that you make say these points, and one more point, how it is used. So about the used, you will say that manure, this is directly added up into the soil. If I talk, I have a farmer, I have a place nearby my home. I'm basically from a village, so there is a nearby place. What do we call it? Where animals are kept. No, I'm not that typical village kind of thing. It's far away from home, but there is a place where they are keeping the animals, and there they are collecting all the cow dung and cattle dung, and they have made a big pit where they are throwing all the waste. And while the time when there is a season, then there's a season when crops are being grown, they used to take it. They used to take it in the field and they just use it directly. They're collecting the manure and all the decomposition is happening, being there, and that reaction is happening. So they're directly used. So these point you can just say. Now, if a question come in your paper that what are the advantages of the manure, I suppose you can write it. Okay. So manure can be natural organic manure. I'll come to the advantages part. Natural organic, I have told you the natural kitchen waste and organic waste. Into the green manure, only green plant leftover. Or you may say plant leftover. That's green manure. Natural organic means kitchen waste, plant waste, everything is mixed. All the organic waste. And decomposition is done. And biofertilizer, okay, so biofertilizer point, I'll come to that. Vermicomposting means we are adding worms. You know what worms used to do? Composting, actually composting is of simple. One is simple composting where normal decomposition is happening. One is vermicomposting where worms are being used. They are the friends farmer. You know that, right? So what is the function of worms into the vermicomposting? They do certain biochemical changes. Suppose I'm using organic waste and I'm putting worms into it. They will convert into their intestine. They will convert biochemical waste and they will make the nutrient rich humus, because they will extract all the nutrient out of the waste and they will put it in the soil, if you are understanding my point. So they help in enriching nutrient into the soil. So this point you can explain. Compost is simple. Vermicomposting is with the worm. Now talking about these all are type of manure. Normal, green, biofertilizer and vermicomposting. Now talking about the biofertilizer is something, these include the microorganism that is helping the soil and the crop to absorb nutrient. Rhizobacterium, azotobacter, blue-green algae, mycorrhizae, they are the one from the soil. They're absorbing nutrient and give it to the plant. This rhizobium, azotobacter, blue-green algae, they absorb nitrogen. You remember nitrogen cycle, you have learned it forever in your life. They are present into the roots and into the soil. They take the nitrogen, give it to the plant. They are also the biofertilizer. Fair enough? These are all kind of manure. Now, finally coming to the question. If that question come in your paper, that what are the advantages of the manure, what you can write? You can say that they make the soil nutrient rich. They help in aerating the soil. It helps in growth of microorganisms. You can just make an explanation out of it. Microorganism, MO is microorganism. Okay, it improves soil texture. Soil texture improved. Yeah, and it increases crop production. Increases. So these are the advantages point that you can write in regard to the manure. Now, I suppose manure point is very, very, very much clear to you, though it was already clear. Now let's move forward. That's a video. Actually, this video is on how to make the compost. I'll explain it. I'll just share my screen. I put it on my OneNote. I'll play the video there. I'll show you, don't worry. Now only I'll show you, but let's talk about the fertilizer. So into the picture now, they have shown like what are the example of the manure. There can be farmyard manure, vermicompost, sludge as in excreta, digested excreta kind of thing. And not only digested excreta, but oil, fat, all the waste is degraded. Green manure. So these are all the bulky manure. One more negative point about the manure is that it's very difficult to carry from one place to another. Now organic fertilizer. Actually fertilizer of different type. Fertilizer is lab made but organic. You see, compost, poultry litter, green manure, peat, bone meal, dolomitic lime wood ash. So these are fertilizer, but they are the organic one. They provide nutrient. Now guys, we are going to talk about the fertilizer and we will also be seeing the differences between manure and fertilizer. Differences. See, fertilizer is first of all lab made. We know the exact composition of the fertilizer while we make it. That it is having this percent of carbon, this percent of nitrogen, this percent of calcium, whatsoever. But in manure, composition is not known. About the fertilizer, this is like a medicine. You should use it in a proper amount. And let's read this point. It is an organic salt. They are manufactured in factories. They are added in comparatively smaller quantity, and there should be limited quantity like a medicine. If you take in more or less, that can harm the plant. Fertilizer do not provide any humus to the soil. Manure. This is prepared from organic matter such as human waste, cow dung, and farm waste. This can be prepared in farm. Manure used to be added in large quantity and nutrient content is less. But everything is like a desi dawai. So whatever you put, even if it is an extra, it's not going to harm. It is going to be useful itself. Manure provide a lot of humus to soil. Fertilizer are easy to carry. You can write these differences. They're easy to carry. They are comparatively expensive, but they are not very much expensive. We do not know the exact composition. And let me think for point. That can come as a 5-mark question in your point. Yeah, one more point. Fertilizer is very fast in absorption. They can easily be absorbed by the plant, but manure not easily absorbed. Not easily. I have to write it very slowly because while I write it fast, writing is messed up. Fair enough. Acha, one more point you can write that fertilizer increases nutrient into the soil in concentrated amount. It increases nutrient into the soil, nutrient in concentrated form. Sorry for the writing spelling, I'm saying it again. But here, this is the one which is not in the concentrated form, but it enriched the soil with nutrient. Not in concentrated, in average amount. Okay, so these are all the point. You can just write it as a 5-mark question. Fair enough. So I suppose we are done with manure and fertilizer. So if a question is asked about, acha, so these are the examples. Garden soil. These are actually brands because you must have heard about NPK into the fertilizer all the time. NPK is not a name of a fertilizer. It is the basic nutrient that is present in the fertilizer. There are many brands which are providing it. So these are all the brands. Now, if a question come in your paper that what are the disadvantages of the fertilizer, I suppose you can write it that you should give it in exact amount. If there is a less or more amount, it can be harmful. You know, there is a tendency in the plant that suppose I'm providing one nutrient in very high amount, it will start showing deficiency symptom of other nutrient. So you should, that's the reason that we put it in the exact amount. Next, we should use it in exact amount and exact time also. We should not use it like after the growth has happened or initially into the, so we should use it in the exact time. Suppose I'm irrigating the plant. That time it should not be used because it will be mixed in water and just go here and there. So during the time when seeds are being grown, it's mixed in the soil that way or sprayed. So there's a particular time when you purchase it, it's written when to use it. Okay. Yeah, it can actually kill useful microorganism and insect. One more important point. It can cause biomagnification. It can enter into the food chain. Biomagnification means when any chemical enter into the food chain and then it starts accumulating in the food chain. Suppose we used to say कि हम बीमार पड़ गए, we are sick, but I am not taking any alcohol or any smoking. But point is that whatever food we are eating, it has fertilizer being sprayed on it, or maybe pesticide itself. Talking about the fertilizer also, I am eating upon the food, so that fertilizer is coming into me, so eventually by eating it will start accumulating in our body. So that's what a biomagnification is, that any chemical just enter into the food chain and it starts accumulating. Fair enough. So I suppose that is clear to you. Now let me think if any other point is striking me up. Exact amount, using fertilizer, expensive. Even into the advantages also you can say, sorry, I don't have space, I'm writing here. Into the advantages also you can say that they're easier to use, full of nutrient, you can all the point, exact composition we know, but into the disadvantage you can add this point. It should be used with the help of skilled person. If you have seen any fertilizer or pesticide, they just cover the mouth and then they do it. So that is also there. So I suppose you can write this point, and we are done with the fertilizer itself. I suppose that's clear to you. Let's move further. So so the next point is crop rotation. Before showing the crop rotation, I was telling you about the video. Let me show that video. Hold on. So into this video, if you see my screen, bacha, here. Shall I be silent or speak? Okay, let me put this on sound.
Gardeners are experts at getting things for free. Free plants, free pots, and free manure, rich in nitrogen and micronutrients. Before you pick up a free load of hay that's already been through the horse, remember that not all manure is created equal. Here are a few tips on using manure without it.
So what they are doing is they are collecting the cow dung, they are collecting all the animal excreta, and then they are using it in the plants.
Regrets. Let it melt. Put all manure through an aging or composting process for at least 2 to 3 months.
So what they are saying that all the excreta should be kept in a pit for 2 to 3 months and then let it degrade. The same thing I was telling you.
Before it goes into your garden. Fresh droppings are too powerful for plants and can kill them.
So the person is saying other than the excreta, which is old, fresh should be used because fresh is more richer in nutrient for degrading also and for giving in the plant.
Know what's hot and what's not. Chicken, goat, rabbit, horse, sheep, and pig waste keep applied directly. It's best to compost these first.
So what they are telling that not all the animal excreta should be used for the plant. So the animal that the person was mentioning that can kill the plant.
Rabbit, horse.
It should be used in a proper way.
It's best to compost these first and then mix with earth.
So that's what he's saying, that we should not use it directly, compost it first, mix it with the garden waste and other organic waste and whatever is required, and then use it.
Soil before adding manure is not as costly, but it should also be composted and mixed with soil before use.
What this person is trying to say, compost first. Whatever be the organic waste, whatever be the excreta, compost it first. That it is explained in the video. Let's come back to the screen. I suppose this thing is clear to you. Now, guys, the next thing. Actually, there is a term which is known as crop rotation. Actually, there is a term which is known as cropping pattern. When we are growing the crop, we should follow a particular cropping pattern. There are mainly 3 ways of, in your syllabus, there is mainly crop rotation. Let me mention a little about other of them. There are mainly 3 type of cropping pattern. One is intercropping. One is mixed cropping. And one is crop rotation. Crop rotation is the best, but other of them are also good. See, intercropping is like one layer of A plant, one layer of B plant, one layer of C plant, or ABC, ABC, or AB, AB kind of. So they are grown together and we are providing all the nutrient together. They are helping each other because the way we are growing, we tend to use the plant which are helping each other. Then mixed cropping is like literally mixed. A, B, B, all the mixed, not proper line, but everything is like mixed, like that. Clear? They also have their benefit, they also have their harm because there is the least competition. While the time we choose the plant together, they are growing. We should choose the plant that they show least competition for the things, for the nutrient, but they should help each other. In most of the cases, leguminous plant pulses are preferred because they show nitrogen cycle. They increases nitrogen amount into the soil and into the plant. That's the reason. So we preferably one leguminous and one non-leguminous plant is chosen. Fair enough. Into the cropping rotation also we do the same. Cropping rotation means into the field you grow a plant and then cut it up, harvest it up, then grow B plant. Then maybe ABC or AB any plant. So point is that once we grow one plant, it is not creating problem for the other plant that we are going to grow. Leguminous is always preferred in one of the crop because they enrich the soil quality with nutrients, and then we grow other plants, so it's kind of that way. So into the crop rotation, they have mentioned example that you can grow potato family, and then you can grow legume plant, and then you can grow brassicacea. These are the examples that are written. It is not like it is always A, B, C are fixed example. It is a category we talk about, that you can grow A category, then you can grow B category, then C, and then D. Examples are written, you can see it. You can pick any 3, 4, any examples. So if a question come in your paper that what are the advantages of the crop rotation, you can say it improves the fertility of the soil, and it reduces need of fertilizers. Fair enough. So I suppose again that's clear to you. People are very intelligent. So that's the reason. Then you can just write it in the explanation that leguminous plant replenish the nutrient, and then they do nitrogen cycle. You can have an explanation on nitrogen cycle, and that's what it's all about. I suppose now these things are done, and I suppose all the topics that we decided we are going to cover in this video, they are also done. But there are a few more things. MCQs. Weeds are the main crop plant. I feel that's a stupid question I have added. It's totally fine. Insects and pests, unwanted plant growing along the crop, chemical substances. I don't have to give you any explanation on this. If you don't know answer of it, you should see this video 2, 3 times. I'm telling you, you need to learn well. Let's move further. Seed drill, this is used to sow the seeds, remove the weeds, remove the pest, mix manure in the soil. Seed drill, I have given you explanation. Rhizobium, that is in the root nodule of leguminous plant, helping in fixing. Think about it. Yeah, I know that you know nitrogen, but if you have to choose whether rhizobium is a bacteria or cyanobacteria. Cyanobacteria is actually another name of blue-green algae. You know that's nitrogen, but what about other? Take few seconds and think. I will not tell answer of it. You can pause my video and still you can think. Okay, let's move. Remember, many people get confused. It is a cyanobacteria, but that's a bacteria. Fair enough. So I suppose we are done with this part. We are done with all the topic. If you have any doubt, just put it on the forum. Let me stop the screen share. And let me come on the screen. So today we have learned the seed drill, how that step is done, how manure fertilizers are used, and what is the technique, the cropping pattern we can follow. And being a farmer, now keep imagining that you're a farmer while you see the next part and you understand a few more points. Again, if you have any doubt, you clearly know you're an intelligent student, you clearly know you have to put it on the forum, on the discussion board, or ask expert on askIITian website itself. Thank you, I'm done. So bye.